Gordon Parks was a groundbreaking figure for 20th century photography. A humanitarian with deep commitment to social justice, he left behind a body of work that documents many of the most important aspects of American culture from the early 1940s up until his death in 2006, with a focus on race relations, poverty, civil rights, and urban life. In addition, Parks was also a celebrated composer, author, and filmmaker. Born into poverty and segregation in Kansas in 1912, Parks was drawn to photography as a young man when he saw images of migrant workers published in a magazine. After buying a camera at a pawn shop, he taught himself how to use it despite his lack of professional training. He found employment with the Farm Security Administration, which was then reporting the nation's social conditions. Parks quickly developed a style that would make him one of the most celebrated photographers of his age, allowing him to break the color lines in professional photography and create remarkably expressive images that consistently explored the social and economic impact of racism. In Washington, D.C., Parks documented the African American community and the intolerance they encountered around the city. His best-known photographs from this period feature Ella Watson, a government chairwoman employed by the FSA. In American Gothic, taken in 1942, Parks posed Watson with her mop and broom in an image derived from Grant Wood's painting American Gothic from 1930. In Parks' version of American Gothic on the left, a low depth of field was used to blur the background and let the subject have a greater impact on the photo. The photo is equivalent because it is charged with emotional significance and inner meaning. Standing firmly before the American flag and looking directly at the camera, the subject signifies how African Americans living in segregation during this era did not possess the freedoms and opportunities symbolized by the flag in the background. The composition of this photo is crucial. The off-balance approach creates uneasiness while viewing the photo. The viewer would probably feel more comfortable if the flag was perfectly centered in the backdrop, but the height of the flag rising above the subject portrays a sense of control over her. Another photo exhibiting racism taken in Chicago in 1965 portrays an army of black Muslim women led by Ethel Shariff. Shariff is the main subject in this photo and is placed in the center to make clear that she is the leader. This effect uses the rule of thirds. She stands clear while the other women behind her are blurred from using a lower f-stop to keep her in focus. It is a straight photo in the sense that the ability to capture the exact reality of the main subject's palpable seriousness allows the viewer to look deeper into her eyes and feel her pain and the reality of what she and the rest of her followers stand for. The well-balanced image uses a longer focal length, allowing Parks to visually stack the women standing behind her to present a sense of unity behind their leader. The black and white contrast between their skin tone and dresses creates a strong impact to the viewer. The Fontanelli family was taken in New York during 1976 at a poverty barn. This documentary photo honestly and accurately informs the viewer about the struggles facing the family. This photo can be characterized under ethically evaluative. It is passionate and politically engaging, revealing a large personal effect that condemns aspects of society. Parks is using a high depth of field to focus on the family and nothing else. The man behind the counter is not in focus because he's not the focal point of the image. The family is clear and sharply shown to exemplify their suffering and pain. Parks uses the contrast of light and dark shadows to make the image more powerful. The main subject of the photo is the mother, Bessie Fontanelli, as she stands in the middle of her family pleading to the poverty board for help. It is crucial how Parks waited for the moment when the father was engulfed in shadow, with his head hanging low towards the mother, leaving her as the last hope for the falling family. Also, the horror in the eyes of the young girl and the gloom in the other children's body language characterize the feelings of the family within a poverty-stricken world. This image beautifully embodies the exhausting emotions of Harlem blacks that has never been captured and communicated to the public before Parks' work. Gordon Parks also produced and directed many films during his career. In 1971, Parks directed the film Shaft about an African-American private eye who was hired by a crime lord to find his kidnapped daughter. Even through his films, Parks was able to portray the unjust and prejudiced actions of white citizens against black citizens. As shown in this film clip, an African-American cop is framed for the murder of an African-American woman.
It's about time, Tyler. Take a look at her.
All right, don't move. Freeze! Is this the man?
That's him, all right. I'll swear to it.
What is this, Doyle?
You can stop the act, Tyler. It's all over for you now.
Internal Affairs Division, Tyler. Hands on your head.
That's the envelope. I saw her give it to him. And that's the money. She borrowed it from me to pay him off. You'll find that those bills have the same serial numbers that I gave you.
No, wait. This is a lousy frame.
He's been shaking her down for about 6 weeks now, threatening to arrest her as a hooker and slapping her around.
No, this is all lies. Well, ask her. Get an ambulance for her.
It's already on the way. What about the money? How did you get it?
Well, he gave it to me. He told me it was a list of names, people in the numbers racket. I was looking for them.
Not me. I don't know anybody in the numbers.
You're under arrest, Tyler, for assault and extortion. Now put your hands behind you and turn around. Come on. right, let's get out of here.
Cop is outnumbered and, although innocent based off his skin color, is immediately accused of the crime. The scene is formalistic, isolating the African American from the other white detectives to portray the boundaries between them. Although the scene is not very aesthetically appealing, Parks is still able to get the idea across of how unreasonable African Americans were treated, even those who held positions such as police officers. Parks spent much of the last 3 decades of his life expanding his style, conducting experiments with color photography. He continued working up until his death in 2006, winning numerous awards, including the National Medal of Arts in 1988 and over 50 honorary doctorates. He was also a noted composer and author, and in 1969 became the first African-American to write and direct a Hollywood feature film based on his best-selling novel, The Learning Tree. This was then followed in 1971 by the hugely successful motion picture Shaft. The core of his accomplishments, however, remains in his photography, the scoped quality and enduring national significance of which is reflected throughout the collections. Across his career as an artist, filmmaker, and author, Gordon Parks consistently worked to expose racism, poverty, crime, segregation, and other social misfortunes that existed in American society.